Comenzamos la jornada dando la bienvenida a Andrea Scotti, CEO y co-founder de Freeda Media, un medio cuya misión es difundir historias reales de mujeres para inspirar un cambio positivo. Andrea, en su ponencia Content, Community and Commerce, nos va a hablar de cómo están evolucionando las empresas de medios y cuál es la nueva relación entre comunidad, contenido y negocio en un mercado, pues como pueden ustedes imaginar, tan fragmentado como el actual. Así que no voy a perder más tiempo. I'm not going to waste more time talking by myself. I just want to say hello, Andrea. Welcome to this event, Inspirational 20 Online. And we are looking forward to hearing your presentation about one subject very, very interesting as the content, community, and the commerce. So you have your talk, so whatever you want.
Thank you, Silvia, for the introduction, and it is a pleasure to be here with all of you, even if at distance. Thanks to also the Inspirational Madrid for inviting me and for Facebook and to Facebook also. So before to enter and tell you our story, I want to start by telling you a bit more about the new generation of consumers. And now we are, let's say, learning how to speak with them every day. Let's start with the definition of this new generation. For us, the only definition that we can and should give them is this one. Millennials born from 1981 to 1996 and Gen Z born between 1997 and 2010. Why we believe this is the only definition that we can give them? Because actually they are the more diverse and ever-evolving generation we ever experienced. And so trying to find one singular definition is really impossible from our point of view. Let's see a bit more about them. First of all, by the end of this year, millennials and Gen Z will be almost 5 billion people, accounting for 60% of the total global population. And Gen Z, for the first time, will also become the largest generation. So they're going to count 32% of the total global population. Another interesting data is that in the luxury market, already last year, they accounted for 40% of the total consumption. And by 2026, they will account to 60%. So 6 consumers out of 10 in the fashion and luxury market will be Gen Z and millennials. And so they are the youngest generation, but they are also the largest and also the one who consume more. And if you look at a global level, Gen Z already represent today 40% of all consumers, with a total spending of 144 billion every year. If we look also at where they are, and if we look at the countries in which, as Freeda, we are present, we have Italy, Spain, and the UK, with 20 million in Spain, 21 million in Italy, and 26 million in the UK. But then if you look elsewhere to see where are the largest population of millennials and Gen Z, we can find more than 170 million in USA, more than 700 million in China, and more than 900 million in India. So as you can imagine, the Indian millennials and Gen Z, as much as the Chinese, will influence more and more trends and consumption in the years ahead. Until now, we've been living in a world where the Western countries have been influencing trends and a lot of the things that happen. In the future, Chinese and Indian consumer will influence more and more. Let's bust some myths around them in order to see what is real and what is not. First of all, the first question is, are they 100% digitally native? And the answer, of course, is not. Because more than 50% of them don't click and don't trust a traditional digital display ads, and more than 70% would like to spend more time on real and physical experiences. I was reading an interview from the CEO of Live Nation this morning, and he said that more than 85% of the ticket for concert purchased pre-COVID are not refunded. Not because they don't want to refund, but because people want to keep their ticket to go to the concert as soon as it will be possible. So the physical and real life experience are more and more important for them. Another interesting myth is, are they not receptive to traditional media? And also in this case, it's not true, in the sense that almost 80% of them still enjoy reading a printed book, and more than 80% of them are heavily influenced by out-of-home ads. So one of the more traditional media like book and out-of-home ads are still very effective and still very much influencing their day-to-day consumption. Another interesting things that we all know, considering the context in which I'm speaking and presenting, is that we live in a world where social influence almost everything. And so if you look at some numbers, we spend more than 11 hours consuming content every day, and out of these, 3 hours are spent on social media platforms. If we look at the Eastern countries like Saudi Arabia and Asia Pacific, it's more than 4, 5, up to 6 hours. So a very important and relevant number of hours spent every day on social media. Social media are already, for millennials and Gen Z, also the first source of information. And so almost 40% of them define social media the primary source of information in their everyday life. And it's also very interesting to see from 2012 to 2020 how much the video consumption on this platform has been growing. And so we moved from 6 minutes in 2012 to more than 80 minutes in 2020. And this will continue to grow and evolve. Another interesting aspect to see is how much these platforms are also influencing our consumption in terms of driver of purchase. And as you can see in this chart, we moved from 2014, where social media influencers were in the last place, in 4 years to 2018 in first place. So nowadays, social media, digital media brand and influencer are the first driver of consumption for millennials and Gen Z. And this is also very interesting. We also saw that in 2018, just 10% of the total consumption was online, so e-commerce accounted for 10%, but almost 80% of our consumption and purchase were influenced by activities online, so by the content that we see, the ads that we see, and the kind of relationship that we have digitally. If we move forward to 2025, more than almost 100% of our purchase will be influenced by online, and e-commerce will account for 25%. The reality is that we moved to 25% already this year because of COVID, that actually dramatically boosted our consumption of product online. And in fact, if we look at this slide, there is the quarter by quarter growth of e-commerce. We were used from 2014 till this year of an average growth of 13%, but from Q1 2020, we moved to 44.5% growth quarter on quarter. So exactly 3 up to 4 times what we were used to before. The other interesting aspect is, of course, if you compare the growth of e-commerce this year with traditional distribution channels, there is no competition. So you see e-commerce is boosted more than 36% in the beauty category, and all the other distribution channels lost from 5% up to 75%. And what's also interesting to see is that almost 50% of the consumer who tried e-commerce for the first time say that they will continue with this kind of consumption. So say they will continue of buying things online. And so the change brought by the pandemic is gonna remain and is gonna stay also for the years to come. Another interesting aspect is how much of this consumption is via social media. And so, as we know, all the social media platforms are integrating e-commerce opportunity into their platforms and also digital payments. And if you look on the right of this chart, you see how many internet users in US bought a product directly on social media. And this year, by April, it's almost 40% of the total consumption. So a very large and significant number. So they're not anymore just the platform to get inspired, but it's also where we actually now buy many products. And also, if you compare the search engine and the social media platform for searching product, for the first time in our history, social media surpassed search engine just on Gen Z. So Gen Z, when they look for product, for new product, they look more on social media than on the Google bar. While on all the other generation, as you can see in this graph, they still rely more on search engine than social media. So this is a very important switch, an important change driven by the Gen Z generation. Another aspect that I want to investigate with you is what do you expect from brands? So what do you expect brands like ours and yours to do to speak to them? The first thing is that they expect brands to represent them and to listen to them. Why? Because they are the generation who have more power than ever before, and they know that they have more power than ever before. 80% state that. They are also the generation who prefer to buy from a brand who stand for their value and who stand for something. And so the value aspect is very important to them. And they're also very open and willing to share data and information about them if they believe that the outcome from the brand will be more fit into what they do and what they believe in every day. The other important aspect for them is that they embrace activism and they stand for sustainability and social equality, as we've been seeing with the BLM movement in the last 3 months or so. And so they really believe in brands that actually are active in solving social problems and social causes. And they actually also believe, 60% of them, that brands and organizations are better positioned than institutions like governments or the church to solve social issues and social problems. And this is a very important change. And so brands like Nike, Supreme, Freeda itself are better positioned to solve and speak about these social issues. The other important element which they care a lot about is the sustainability and the environmental issues. And so 9 out of 10 prefer to buy and build a relationship with a brand who actually address sustainability as one of the key points of its strategy. And also they seek a lot of independence and purpose. So for example, if you look at the percentage of millennials and Gen Z who actually say that finding one life purpose is the sign of being successful, we are almost at 60%. So for them, the purpose of the company, the mission of the company they work for is very important and is one of the most important leverage of motivation to stay at that company. The other interesting number is that almost 70% of them would like to be an entrepreneur, which doesn't mean that each of them want to build a company from scratch, but they look for freedom and responsibility. So they look for work environment where they are giving freedom and responsibility to express themselves and to build their journey within the company. The other very important aspect, which is a very important point of differentiation compared to the other generation, is that their digital and physical identities transcend. So it's not different, it's not distant one from the other, but it's actually the same. And so as you can see, 70% worry that their activity online will affect their real life and job opportunity. And so they care a lot on how they behave online, on social media, because these can have an influence and can affect their real life experience. And the other important aspect, which I said before, is that 80% of them believe that physical and digital are actually one and the same. And this is the reason why they're also more meticulous and they're more worried on how they express themselves on this platform compared to the previous generations. Entering more into details about what we do as Freeda and why we started. 4 years ago, we started because we believe that women are the real social changers in our society. And why we believe so? These are just some examples. So if you look at Europe, every 100 men who get a degree every year, there are 140 women, so exactly 40% more. Try to imagine how these can impact our society and our work environment. The other important element is that by doing good and by being better, we can also do well to the economy. So by reducing the gender gap by 25%, we have the potential of adding 5 trillion to the global economy. So again, by doing something that is fair and right, we can also do good to our economy and to our businesses. The other important element is that even if women are not, let's say, 85% of the direct customers, they directly influence 85% of all purchases. So many times I exchange with my colleagues in the automotive industries, and we discuss about immatriculation. And so many immatriculation are done by men, but the reality is that there is no car being bought in the family without the prior consent of the wife, of the daughters, or the girlfriend. And so this is very important to take into consideration. The other important element, which we believe in a lot, is that by 2028, women will own, fund, and manage 1/3 of the businesses. And so they will bring a lot of innovation, a lot of new ideas into the digital and the business ecosystem. We are still lagging behind, as you can see in this slide, because out of the Fortune 500 CEOs in the US, just a small minority is women. And so it's just 8% of the total CEOs of this company. So there is a lot still to be done, but we believe that we are in the right direction. So getting to our story, as I was saying, we started 4 years ago with the aim and ambition of building a media brand, a digital media brand, able to represent authentically these new generations of women. And in building a new digital media company, we decided to follow 5 main pillars, which are the one in this chart. The first one is building a brand who stands for something. So we have clear value at the core of everything we do. And every day through our content and our activities, we spread our values. The second point is we define ourselves community inspired because we leverage millions of data and millions of interaction in order to understand them more, understand what they expect from us, and build the content who actually answer to these needs. The third pillar of Freeda is being social first, in the sense that we don't have a website, we don't have a TV channels, we don't have a magazine, but we decided to stream and go with our content directly on social media. So Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok are the primary platforms where we build the relationship and the dialogue with these generations. The fourth pillar at Freeda is that we focus on being the best, not the bigger. And so we focus on quality instead of quantity. We really believe that a qualitative content proposition is the best choice to speak and connect with them. And last but not least, we think and act as a global company with a very strong local presence. And so we started in Italy, then we moved to Spain in 2018, and we recently launched in the UK. And we believe we are just at the beginning of our journey. Let's show you a short video to give you a better understanding of who we are.
Il mondo si cambia una donna alla volta.
Freeda is the voice of the new global generations of women who are finally getting the freedom they deserve. We're breaking boundaries by promoting women's achievements, inspiring personal style, and celebrating sisterhood. we create original premium content designed for all screens and platforms, dedicated to the passions, cultures, and news relevant to young women.
Sigla.
How? By being part of a real cultural movement, staying true to our core values, spreading real women's stories to inspire positive change, keeping it bold, keeping it real, keeping it optimistic.
Mi chiamo Manuelita e sono medico-oncologo.
Sono la prima pilota di linea in Italia.
Sono un'atleta paralimpica.
Sono un influencer e modella curvy.
Sono rovigiaia.
Sono madre.
Sì, sono campione del mondo della
Sono Maria Grazia Chiuri, direttore creativo di
Stefano Winter, evento questa causa.
Sono Letizia Battaglia, sono una donna.
So this is who we are as a company, and thanks to this approach, we reached in 4 years a community of more than 7 million women spread across Italy, Spain and Latam and UK. Of course, millennials and Gen Z account for almost 80% of our community, and we reach an average of monthly between 80 million and 100 million unique people across the different geographies. One of our most important KPIs is the engagement rate. So we optimize all the content via engagement, and we try to engage as much as possible our community. And as you can see in this ranking, both Freeda in Italy and in Spain are in the top 5 ranking globally for engagement and total interaction on Instagram, at the same level of global US player as Vogue US and Vanity Fair in America. So just from Italy and Spain, we are able to generate more interaction than these global players. In Spain, we had a very rapid growth. So we started in mid-2018. And in 2 years, we were able to build a community of 2.5 million women across Instagram and Facebook. And we're very proud also of our monthly reach, which is almost 30 million people every month across Spain mainly, but then also South America, that connect very well with our fantastic Spanish content. The other important aspect is, again, the engagement. And as you can see in this chart, in the first semester 2020, we were top of the ranking both on Instagram and Facebook for video views, interaction, and of course, engagement rate, above brands like Vogue, Glamour, Elle, and many others. So we're very proud of our presence in Spain. And after 2 years, we feel that we have still a lot of room to grow and to improve. The other aspect is what we do as a business. And so what we're trying to build is the best partner for all the brands and organizations who want to understand, speak, and connect with this new generation. We are proud to having worked with a lot of brands partner in these 2 to 3 years, among the beauty industry, the luxury industry, but also the automotive, the entertainment, the food and beverage. So it's quite, let's say, broad, the range of brands that we work with. What do we do with them? Actually, it's 2 different activities. The first one is the branded content, which is we build the best content together with the partner. So we produce and edit the content, and then we distribute this content across our platforms in order to reach as many millennials and Gen Z as possible. An example of this is the partnership that we started 3 years ago with Gucci, so the fashion luxury brand. And with them, what we do every month, we go and seek for the best stories of women and men who can actually represent the value of the brand, who can endorse the product of the brand, and can engage with millions of women in the Freeda community. So the quality of the content is very high, but it's also very engaging content that are able to attract the interest of our community. With them, we also try to speak a lot about gender equality, about diversity, about the gender gap, and so we also try to tackle some issues that are relevant for millennials and Gen Z. The second areas of work that we are into it is the content studio area, which is the area in which we bring our expertise to the platforms of the brands that we work with. So the branded content is on the Freeda platform, the content is distributed on the content studio is more on the platform of the brand. An example of this activity is a brand that we started from scratch in Italy that is called Guvi. It's a skincare and integrators and wellness brand. And in this case, what Freeda did is almost everything. So we defined together with the industrial partner the brand strategy. We built the community thanks to an amazing content plan. We position the different products launched by listening to the community again, and then we built all the e-commerce business of the brand. Guvi is a brand that is inspired by women, is leading through engaging content, and is a brand that really believes in social media. So Instagram and Facebook are our main channel where we build the relationship with the customers. As you can see, also the style is very different from Freeda, so we really try to adapt to the Guvi DNA and identity. And we are very proud because the business of Guvi in less than 2 years grow substantially, and so we move from 0 to millions of revenue online every month. And also we built a real media property, because if you look at this number, we have a community of almost 600,000 women, and we reach 7 million people every month on Facebook and 5 million on Instagram with the Guvi brands and property. And again, as much as I was saying before with the e-commerce growth, COVID accelerated significantly our business. And so by being a digital social business in the skincare industry, we did 5 times the revenue before COVID. So it was an impressive growth, an impressive acceleration. And so it's another demonstration of how COVID is also a crisis of model, and not only an economical crisis, and also a sanitary crisis, of course. But in the case of Guvi, we grow the business quite significantly, and now we are continuing to growing it in Italy and potentially in Spain very soon. The last area of innovation, it's the direct-to-consumer brand that we are building. So on one side, we do the content and we distribute on Freeda. Then we build the content studio as much as Guvi. And then the last venture is we are building also our own brand. And the first one is Superfluid, which is a beauty and personal care brand that starts from the listening of our community, of our Freeda community in Italy, Spain, and the UK. Why we decided beauty? Because of course beauty it's a very important industry for our community, and there are already certain brands, specifically in the US, who, thanks to a strong community, strong content, and strong engagement, were able to build relevant businesses, as much as Glossier, who built a very significant business online. The Superfluid mission is to really embody, as much as for Freeda, the new generation of consumers through essential product and meaningful stories. And so again, with Superfluid, what we want to do is to really represent this generation authentically and in a significant way. And as you can see in this chart, the strategy of Superfluid is actually very similar to the one of Freeda. So value, community inspired, social, and direct-to-consumer relationship. These are our products, which I suggest you to go and see on our website. So they are 100% vegan formulas. They are very simple and essential because we are not expert. We are expert of community, but we are not expert of product. And these are just some shots of our brands as it presented itself to the consumer. So very simple, very authentic, very bold, and very focused on the value and the brand itself. Last, let me finish with the key point of differentiation of Superfluid, which of course will be, once again, the content proposition that we're building on the Superfluid platforms. And so we really believe at Freeda and Superfluid that through content and meaningful experiences and meaningful stories, we can connect in a much better and stronger way with this new generation of customers on social media. Thank you for listening, and Silvia, I give you back the stage.
I was hearing you with a lot of attention. I guess the people that was listening to your discourse because it was very interesting and exciting. And let's get started now with the question time, if you feel like it. So there are several questions, and the first one says, well, what I said. Very interesting, Andrea. Thank you very much. How can we launch a global campaign with Freeda for our brand in Spain and Italy?
Fantastic. Thanks for the feedback, first of all. And we are, let's say, we have offices in the 3 countries. So we have a fantastic office in Madrid, run by Beatriz Medina, who is our country manager. And she is running a fantastic team made of creative, salespeople, marketing people who actually can build from scratch campaigns and projects for the Freeda cross countries. And so the easiest ways to do it is to contact Bea and her team in Madrid, and then we can figure out the best campaign to be spread across the globe and across the different countries.
Okay. The second one, about the acceleration in consumption changes towards social networks. How has it affected Freeda, and how does he face the next years?
It's in the last, let's say that from February to September, we've been, of course, through a lot of changes because COVID impacted also ourselves as a company and as humans, of course. But at the same time, in terms of social consumption, we've been seeing a rapid growth, particularly in some specific channels. So, for example, if we look at Spain, the Instagram TV channel of Freeda Spain has been growing really substantially. So we're talking of an average video views of almost 400,000 video views per each video. And this is thanks to the fact that social media in this period became even more important to dialogue with brands, but also with our partners and with our friends. And so we've been experiencing a rapid growth in the different countries. And also, as I show on Goovy, on the consumption of product online, we've been seeing very significant growth on the social e-commerce consumption. So all in all, positive for the trends. Of course, as a company, it's been tough to manage this period as for everyone else.
Well, we go on with the questions, and the third one says, hi, Andrea, how do you see the Twitter platform? Is it good for brands?
The Twitter platforms. We are, let's say, focused on Instagram. We believe that Instagram is the best way to connect with millennials and Gen Z women. From Spain, we are now launching also TikTok, which is, of course, another platform that is very relevant, particularly for Gen Z. Facebook is a very important instrument for us to reach millions and millions of people, and so Facebook is still very, very relevant, as much as YouTube. Twitter is something that we believe is not as relevant as the other platforms, at least in our geographies. And so we have not been investing in Twitter until now. So the platform is, of course, an important and relevant platform, but not as much as the other from our point of view to speak to millennials and Gen Z women.
It is very important for politicians, no? Like Donald Trump.
It is his favorite platform, so it's he enjoys a lot Twitter.
I know. Well, this question says, top 3 recommendations for a brand on Instagram.
Top tier recommendation. This is a very good question. Also, it requests time to be answered properly. But of course, the top three, I think, being authentical. And so in the content that you produce is being authentic in what you say. Because this generation, as we were seeing on the presentation, they look for authenticity and transparency. The second point, which I think is very important, is to listen to the community, listen to the consumers, and take decisions based on that. So not having a top-down approach in building your editorial plan and your content, but listening to them and then create. And the first suggestion is to be yourself. Again, the authenticity part is so key, and that is, let's say, very, very important to be kept at the center. And yes. So.
Okay, Andrea, let me open my glasses. Okay. Is Freeda open to earn collaborations or just paid campaigns?
It's we are, let's say, very holistic in the activity that we do, and so we have been, of course, let's say, doing a lot. In fact, we define our relationship with the brands and organization partnership, and into this partnership there are a lot of different things that goes from traditional campaign to events to co-marketing, and so we've been partnering, for example, a lot in the last 4 years. With no-profit organization, with association to help women, minorities, underrepresented community. And so we are very open and holistic in our approach. And as much as the things that we are proposed are aligned with our values and with our mission.
I think this is the last one. Yeah. Where would you like to expand after Italy? Spain and the UK?
Let's say that the next expansion we haven't figured out yet, but of course we are developing through Spain an audience in South America, and we believe South America is a very interesting population, has very different and diverse cultures, and so South American can be an objective in the future. So we'll see. Now our focus is to strengthen our position in Italy, Spain, and the UK, where Italy and Spain are already very, very strong and very, very similar. UK, we just entered, so we need to demonstrate a lot of different things.
Andrea, thank you very much for being with us in this morning, opening this event. It was a pleasure hearing you, your words, your knowledge, everything. So have a nice day. And go on fighting.
It was absolutely my pleasure, and thanks for the time and attention.